Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Valentina and I read sometimes. And today I'm going to talk to you about the books that I've been reading in the past 3 months. The idea is to make a sort of reading journal in which I share with you the books that I read, the books that I tried reading but ended up DNFing, and the books that I'm currently reading. So we'll start out with August because it's been a hot minute since I filmed my last video. And yeah, I'm going to be using my notebook here because here I have all my notes regarding the books that I read. So in August I read 5 books. 3 of those were audiobooks and 2 of those were physical books that I have here. So the first one that I read was Normal People by Sally Rooney. I give this one 3 out of 5. I didn't really enjoy it and I'm not going to get into it because I made a whole entire video on it. It was like 20 minutes long. It's a mess. I didn't really enjoy it. That's the bottom line of this book. If you want to know more, go check out that video. Even though I didn't really enjoy Normal People, I've seen around the internet that some people say that you're either a normal people type of person or a conversations with friends type of person. So I was still open to giving Sally Rooney a chance. You know, maybe I would enjoy conversations with friends, so I gave it a shot. However, I didn't want to spend my money on it because I was a bit hesitant on it. So I listened to it in audiobook from my from the Libby app, my library app. And this one was worse. I'm sorry, I just realized I guess I'm not a Sally Rooney type of person. It just wasn't for me at all. I gave this one 2 out of 5 stars. I was very close to DNFing it because I just couldn't care for it at all. But I had invested already so much of my time in it that I was like, you know what? Whatever, I'll just finish it. But I didn't like any of the characters, and I guess that's the point, like you can write unlikable characters and whatever, but I just was so frustrated with them. And I don't know if it's a pet peeve or what, but it really bugs me when people don't communicate properly on books. Like there are just some things that you need to talk about. Like I don't know how much I can say about this book without giving too much away, because I don't want to spoil it for the people that actually would like to read it, but let's just leave it at that it frustrated me a lot that there was no proper communication there, and there were, in the book, you could say that non-monogamy is explored in the book, but I feel like it's so poorly explored. Like there are no conversations about boundaries, about limits, about what people want, what they don't want, what they're comfortable with, what they're not comfortable with. And that just really bothers me. And aside from the fact that the main character is just not likable at all. I just didn't like them. I didn't like the characters. I couldn't care for them. I couldn't care for the story. And yeah, it wasn't for me. Maybe it's for you. It just wasn't for me. Moving on, I read The Mental Load by Emma. This is a graphic novel that looks a bit like this. Like this type of drawings. It's like this very basic type of drawings, but it touches upon gender inequality topics and immigration, I think. I don't really remember anymore. I just know that I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was very well executed. I read some reviews that people were like bothered by the art style, but I don't know. I think it's really engaging. It's very easy to read, to breeze through, and I feel like the topics are very well handled and very well discussed. So if you're interested in feminist comic books, then I would give this one a shot. After The Mental Load, I listened to 2 more audiobooks. The first one was Daisy Jones and the Six, and oh my god, did I love that book. That book was just so good. Nothing compared to the Sally Rooney fiasco. This was amazing. First of all, the production. Oh my god, if you're gonna read Daisy Jones and the Six, please listen to the audiobook. It was so good. It's the type of audiobook that they have a full cast production and the book is written like an interview. So every character is read by a different person, and it was so good. It felt like a documentary film about this music band and giving you all the insights of what it's like to work in the music industry and what it's like for the artists and what it's like to make music and the emotional connection that artists feel to the music that they make. And I don't know, it was just so good. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, and the audiobook was amazing, and I would completely and totally fully recommend it. 5 out of stars. 5 out of 5 stars. Go check it out if you want to. If you've heard, I had only heard good things about it, and it totally lived up to the expectation. Then I had decided to read my family's favorite books. And I started out with my dad's favorite books. So my dad recommended me 3 books and sent me the audiobook of The Godfather. This is a classic, and it was very long. It was an 18-hour long book, so audiobook. So I listened to it throughout the entire month. Like in between, I was listening and reading the other books that I had just mentioned. But this one, it took me a little while. And I must say, I think it's a classic that didn't age well because it contains a lot of violence. And I'm not talking about the mafia violence. I thought that was quite entertaining. I'm talking about the violence against women. There's a lot of domestic violence in there, and it's completely normalized. And I was like, this is not okay. Like, no. They just hit women like, I don't know, like you're just hitting flies. I don't even know what metaphor I'm trying to get to, but it was just so bad. It didn't sit well by me at all, and I was very bothered by that. Other than that, I feel like the book is divided into different like parts. So book 1, book 2, book 3, blah blah blah. I don't remember how many books there were, but I remember that the first book just ended with a bang, and it was like a war was about to start, and it was like, yes bro, like this is, I was living for that mafia moment. And then it just goes to a side story from some side characters, and then it just like felt very slow. And I don't know, I thought that it was gonna be more action packed, and that disappointed me a little bit. But on the other hand, it was also very well, like the narration was very good. Not only the audio narrator, but the writing, I guess, was very well made. It has a lot of backstories and a lot of side characters. Like, it was seriously, sometimes I had to Google who they were talking about because there were just so many characters, seriously, so many. And it was hard to keep up. But at the same time, it's quite interesting because it's a very well-rounded story. And from the story, like the beginning of the story and the ending of the story are sort of mirrors to each other. I'm not gonna say how it ends, obviously, but I thought that was a very nice, like, you know, like a wink, you know, I don't know. It's like, I like those kind of endings where the ending and the beginning are like mirrors of each other. I think that's quite cool. So yeah, it was enjoyable. The violence part was not, the violence against women was not enjoyable for me. I hope if you read that, it's not enjoyable for you as well, that part, because if not, then you should check yourself. But yeah, all in all, I gave it 4 stars because I can appreciate what the book for what it is, and I can see why it is a classic. And I'm really eager to watch the films. I haven't watched them, but I'm really interested because I guess they gave it that action factor that I felt was missing at some point in the book. Probably the films are more like, you know, action-packed because it's a film. But we'll see. One day I will watch it and I'll report back to you on how it went. Moving on to September. In September, I only read 2 books. The first book that I read was On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Vuong. I listened to it on audiobook, and I'm embarrassed to admit that I think I didn't really understand it. Now hear me out. The book is written very beautifully. The writing style is so beautiful that I acknowledge and I recognize. But I was very confused because I thought that the book was like an autobiography. And I didn't understand, for example, the fact that the main character, that it was autofiction, it was not really an autobiography, it was a fictional story. And second, the main character was called Little Dog. I thought that was his nickname. I didn't understand at all at any point that was his real name until I finished it. And I listened to an episode from the Books Unbound podcast by Ariel Bisset and Reid. I always forget her last name. Their episode about when they did this, when they used this book as their book club book. And then I read some reviews and I was like, oh shit, I didn't understand that at all. Like, ich hab's nicht gecheckt. Like, it didn't click in my head that was his name. So first of all that, then the first part of the book felt like a bit of a blur to me. I guess I wasn't paying a lot of attention. Probably that, because the rest of it, I feel like I was in the story, like I could get it. And I thought the writing was very beautiful and all, but at some point, I don't know, I personally found it a bit tiring. It was like a never-ending poetry slam video, and I think I would enjoy it more if I read it in the physical form. I gave it at the end 3 stars out of 5, but I'm not close to it yet. I want to read it again and at some point in the future in the physical form, because I feel like that way I can sit more with the writing and with the story and maybe take something else out of it. Also, I felt like there wasn't much of a story at all, you know? And I've heard that criticism from other people. I felt like it was going nowhere. I was a bit confused as to what was happening, where was this going, and yeah, I don't know. It was just, my review is confused, but oh well. What can we do? Maybe pay more attention when you're listening to an audiobook. That's what you can do. Then I read Primera Persona by Margarita García Robayo, and this book has not been translated to English because I'm not sure, I googled it and I couldn't find it, so I think it hasn't been translated. Other books by her have been translated, but I think this one hasn't. Anyways, if a little literal translation would be first person, and this is a collection of essays. So I read this book with my book club, La Maloca Feminista Berlin. It's a Spanish-speaking book club here in Berlin, and we read this one for September, and every month after we read the book, we talk to the author. And Margarita is amazing. She's just so smart, so eloquent, so like everything she was saying, it was like they were just, quotes. I mean, I don't know, just it's like what I don't even know how to say this. She can just express herself so beautifully. Unlike me, I have trouble speaking every time I'm in front of this camera, Jesus. But she was, boy, top notch. I cannot even speak, you see? But the book, it was really good. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. There are a bunch of essays on things like fear, maternity, love, sexual education, being a teenager, womanhood, identity as a woman and identity as a whole. And it was very interesting. The writing is amazing. It's superb. I love it so much. I really, really love how she writes. Yeah, I don't know. She's also very honest and very raw, not only in her books, but in person. Like the way she talks, she's just very, to the point. And she doesn't have, like in Spanish we say, no tiene pelos en la lengua. So she doesn't have hairs in her tongue. It would be a literal translation. I'm sure there must be a saying in English. I'm just not familiar with it. But it was really good. If you speak Spanish, you should definitely check Margarita García Robayo out. Then in September, I tried reading one more book, another audiobook, and it was Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Now, I must admit, I'm the type of person that likes a pretty cover. I think most of us do. I tend to buy a lot of books based on the pretty cover. And this one, I saw it on Goodreads, and it's a really pretty cover, and I thought Glennon Doyle was the name of a man, and just by the cover and the name, I thought it was some gay fabulous story, I don't know, maybe drag queens, something, I don't know, New York bars, gay, something, sparkles. That's what the cover said to me, and it sounded fun. Turns out it is kind of gay, but it's a memoir, and it's this woman that was married and had children and then realized that she was a lesbian and left the husband and married the other woman and was living a happy life out of the closet and untamed and free. And good for her. Great that you found your queer truth. That's awesome. But I just wasn't connecting with the book. I don't know. It wasn't for me. I was bored. I think after an hour and a half. And I'm sorry. I was not bored by her life. It was just this memoir was just not my thing. So I DNF'd it. I returned the book to a library and I moved on. And now we come to October. In October, I was in an exam period, right? I had my statistics exam and political economy exam, and I was just like this. So I needed something nice, something fun, something fluffy, So I read Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, and oh my god, it's so fucking cute. I read it in an hour. Like, it was just so fun, so easy to read, and also it's like so quick to read. Looks like this. It's just a fluffy, lovely boy meets boy love story that you need in your life. It was beautiful. It was exactly what I needed in that moment. And yeah, my heart was thriving and I needed more, so immediately I got the second volume, but I had to study for the other exam, so I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I'm pretty sure I will read that one in an hour and a half. So whenever I have an hour and a half to just sit down and read, I'll get to that one. But this one was great. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I've read by now 2 books of Alice Oseman. I read Radio Silence as well, and I love that one. So I think she's great, and I want to read all of her work. That's my goal for the foreseeable future, to read everything that Alice Oseman has put out in this earth. It's great. If you haven't checked it out, go do it, please. Then, I've read a lot of gay love stories this year. I need more sapphic love in my life. I got one. I will show you in a book haul. I just need more female romance in my life because I just get a lot of boy meets boy kind of things. I don't know why, they just come my way. It's also a lot of the stories that I see recommended on YouTube, on BookTube, and I listen a lot to these recommendations because I don't know, I trust the people that I watch. So I listened to Red, White, and Royal Blue, and oh my god, was it so good. I loved it so much. It's like rom-com, like a top-notch rom-com. I cannot speak. It was just so good. It was so much fun. It was like just this warm, fuzzy, like just a happy love, sappy love. It was great. And besides, like, come on, you have the first female Democratic president of the United States with a half Mexican son that is bisexual, and like the other best friend is bisexual, and he's dating, no, okay, it's like this enemies to lovers trope. So he eventually starts dating the Prince of England, and it's like, if this were real life, it would be the shit. Like, it would be great. But it was amazing. It was just so much fun, and it's that light-hearted read that you need whenever you're stressed by all of the external factors of life, like COVID, for example. It was just so good. I recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. Loved it. All right, so those are the books that I've read until now, and now I'm just gonna tell you briefly about the books that I'm currently reading. So the next audiobook that I started was Becoming by Michelle Obama. Now, I put a hold on that one in the library 6 months ago. And I was like, man, if I have to wait 6 months for this book, it better be good. And oh my god, is it good? It is so good. I Red, White, and Royal Blue and Becoming are books that I definitely want to have in my bookshelf. I don't know if I'm gonna buy them next month or at some point next year, but they definitely have to become a part of my collection. I'm not even halfway through Becoming. It's so long. It's 19 hours. I think I've listened to 6 hours by now, but I love how she writes. I love listening to her story, and by now I'm listening to how they became, like, Michelle and Barack became an us, and it's also like a cute love story. I don't know if you can tell, but I live for the romance. So yeah, it's a really interesting story, and I think she writes and she narrates the story beautifully. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that one. I'm also reading Women Don't Owe You Pretty by Florence Given, this girl right here. She's an illustrator and an influencer. She's very big on Instagram. That's the platform that she uses. She's a very unapologetical and very fun girl. She's my age, I think. Yeah, she's my age. And yeah, the book is basically, I feel like it's an introduction to feminism, an introduction to deconstructing your toxic behaviors and to setting boundaries, and I don't know, she also talks about dating and being queer, about marriage, about all these stereotypes, and it's also written, and it gives me the feel like I'm watching a YouTuber somehow, you know? You can kind of tell that it is an influencer that wrote this, and I'm not trying to take any credit from her by any means. Like, she broke a record selling this book, like it's on the book bestseller list and whatever, like has received a lot of love. and I think that she talks about very important things. But the way it's written, it's very, and it's not bad. I'm not trying to say it's bad that you can tell who, I mean, how do I put this into words? It's very approachable. It's very direct, and like she's talking to you, you know? And she says hun and fuck and all these things. It's not a literary work. It's not academic at all. It's a very introductory piece of work that it's very approachable. It's targeted to teen girls, I think, mostly. And everything that I've read so far are things that I know already, but I think it's refreshing to read it from her perspective, because what I feel like it's missing from a lot of introductory like feminist books is the fact that feminism, it's a process of deconstruction and a learning process and a growth process, and that you're growing and you're learning and you're setting boundaries and you're changing and all these things, and she acknowledges them beautifully here, and she talks about boundaries a lot and preserving your energy and all these things. And I think it's not a waste to read it if you already know those things, because it can give you some, I don't know, like a new perspective or something. But at the same time, if you have a younger female person in your life that you think could use this, then I think it would be a great present or a great recommendation. I'm sure that if I had read this when I was 15, a lot of things in my life would have been different. But yeah, I think it's good for what it does. I think it achieves the purpose that it's trying to achieve so far. I'm just that far in. But yeah, and it's also very pretty. It has illustrations inside, like this, because she's an illustrator. Yeah, I don't know. Check it out if you want. And if you don't want the book, check out her Instagram. It's a really nice Instagram page. She has a lot of her illustrations, and she also does a lot of like advice type of videos and like stories and stuff. So yeah, she's cool. I like her. Then I started The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Morgenstern. I would read this as Morgenstern, but I don't think she's German, so Morgenstern. I'm only that like this much in, and that is because I feel like this is a book that I need to sit down and read a big chunk of it for an extended period of time, and I haven't had that time, so I put it on hold. I will get to it soon, I hope, but I still count it as currently reading because I started it, so it's on my currently reading list. And the last one is La Forastera by Olga Merino. This one was also part of my book club, and this one was the October book, and I didn't finish it because we met too early. We met like last week, and it was too early for me. I couldn't finish it. But it's really interesting. It has to do with suicide, a woman living in a village alone. She doesn't live like a stereotypical life, and I think she doesn't have a lot of money or anything. And I don't know, I mean, I already talked to the author with my book club, so I kind of know what happens, but at the same time I'm trying to block that information that I heard during the book club, and I'm trying to still keep an open mind. But yeah, I don't know. I like how she writes, and she was a really nice woman, so yeah, that's what I can say. So that's a wrap on my reading journal for you. Those are the books that I read and the books that I'm currently reading and the books that I tried reading in the past 3 months. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, bye!